Hello everyone, welcome to Max Carroll. So today we've got some WWE news. We'll be looking at 5 weaknesses of AEW that WWE must capitalize on. But before we get into this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. We want to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year so we can get this YouTube channel monetized. Remember, stay cool. All Elite Wrestling, the honeymoon phase is over, as despite having perhaps the best overall TV production in wrestling, the chinks in the armor of the WWE's new number one competitor are starting to show. So, do you like All Elite Wrestling, guys? I do. The good news for AEW is that it has consistently outperformed NXT in the viewership department in 2020, establishing itself as the earlier leader. In the Pro Wrestling New Wednesday Night War, the bad news, however, is AEW Dynamite is still experiencing its fair share of growth pains for all the great things AEW has done, like slowly but surely building up stars such as Scorpio Sky, Jungle Boy, and Page and Darby Allin. The upstairs promotion has also made a lot of mistakes along the way, some of which are already in the process of being remended, but also WWE has provided with the opportunity to take advantage of its shortcomings. Well, ultimately, AEW's mistakes were easily forgiven by the fan and the critical pro wrestling fans, but further away, AEW has gotten from its infant stage to the more susceptible. It will be some of the same criticism WWE has got in the recent years when the company has come under fire for overlooking talented stars and producing poor storylines, among other issues. At different times on that same token, some AEW stars' shortcomings also have paved the way for WWE, in spite of its own booking problems, to be able to capitalize on the weakness that has developed for a new kid on the block. Here are 5 drawbacks that WWE must capitalize on as the pro wrestling battle for fans rages on. So let's get on the first one, which is the first one is confusion about heels and babyface. If you don't know what a heel is a bad guy in wrestling terms, and a babyface is a good guy in wrestling terms. So, prior to AEW's TV debut last fall, it was reported that the company wouldn't be utilizing its traditional heels and babyfaces roles. Instead of essentially having its stars lean towards one role or the other, depending on the story that the company wants to tell at that time. That's fine strategy in theory, because the most natural and the best TV characters typically do indeed have shades of grey and reality in their philosophy, and has been pretty well executed by AEW. In fact, that is one of its most enduring qualities, because that has created the product that is more rooted in reality, even through AEW's fluid heels and babyfaces. Give the company more flexibility when it comes to its booking. However, critics will point out to you that sometimes it has resulted in confusion, whether about whose stars should be booked or booed or cheered. There are several stars who do babyface-like things when they are technically a heel, or vice versa, including names like Chris Jericho, Orange Cassidy, and the Lucha Brothers, who appear to be villains, but go out of their way to try and pop the crowd. In other words, they are trying to be cool heels, and cool heels aren't known for moving the needle. For all WWE's faults, one thing it does well is a definite line between good guy and bad guy. The top heels like Baron Corbin, Seth Rollins don't pander to the crowd ways that Jericho does at times. Big babyfaces don't beat up other babyfaces for no reason. the way the Lucha Brothers did, seemingly to turn heel by aligning with Pac from the Death Triangle, while AEW should try to detain itself from WWE in certain ways. There is marked differences between creating characters with shady grays and pushing characters in ways that makes TV audiences frustrated with the lack of clear direction. For now, AEW has some success by choosing not to book fully fledged heels and babyfaces, but WWE could have a leg up on AEW if the leader flip flops so much that the fans grew frustrated with the constant change on the babyface/heel alignment. Likewise, some fans will always prefer the classic clear line between good and evil, which WWE typically gives to them. So that was number 5. Let's get on to number 4. Well, which is corny gimmicks galore. AEW has been wide array of gimmicks which are performed by various talented superstars, but aren't actually exciting, clicking with pro wrestling fans. The list of the top characters in AEW reads about a mile long, and includes boring stables like the recent disbanded Nightmare Collective and the Dark Order, rarely seen performers such as the Lerman, popular ones such as the Lucha Express or the Alien Curse, and the Santana, and the nonsensical ones like the Butchers, the Blade, the Bunny. Pro wrestling fans know what they're going to have to suspend their belief in sometimes every time they watch a wrestling show, but AEW has taken that exception to a new level in the slate of new gimmicks that come across corny and downright substandard. Those types of gimmicks may have worked consistently in the 1980s or in the 1990s, but today not so much. Of course, the exceptions to all the rules like stars like Luchasaurus and Orange Cassidy, whose gimmicks are totally ridiculous, have a very strong connection with AEW's fan base. But AEW is at risk of coming across as a B-level show if it relies too heavily on these campy characters that sometimes WWE should benefit from, as most performers, aside from the rare act like Bray Wyatt, have characters that aren't as fair fluctuated as the Butchers and the Librarians and Aliens. If AEW wants to truly keep peace in with WWE, it will need to shy away from gimmicks like the Dark Order and the Nightmare Collective. Brandy Rose pulled the plug on one that already needed to happen. Moving forward, WWE meanwhile has capitalized on the shortcoming with the quality booking from its few gimmick-based performers like Bray Wyatt or King Corbin, as well as the relevant characters with over-top gimmicks. So let's get on number 3. Well, number 3 is up next. Number 3 is the women's division. Perhaps the biggest letdown regarding AEW thus far has been its lackluster women's division, which is dealing with a number of issues, such as booking too many bells and whistles, and the lack of star power. Sure, there are some bright spots in AEW's women's division, with the likes of Santalier, Nyla Rose, Dr. Bit Breaker, and even Riho showing plenty of promise to develop in household names one day, but AEW's building women's division can't hold a candle of the WWE's, which is absolutely loaded with talent. Raw and SmackDown. NXT has noticeably scaled back on its pushing of women's division since WrestleMania 35 last year. But as evident as Survivor Series and TLC last year was, the women's match main evented both shows WWE may be heating back up on its female stars again. Both WWE and AEW's women's division are far from perfect, but there is a lot more to like about WWE's women's division, which featured more high-profile names like Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey, etc., and more talent overall. Kenny Omega, who is in charge of the creative for the women's division, has taken exception to complaints about AEW's has booked female stars thus far, but fans are right to moan about and groan about the terrible on-screen portrayal of its female stars, on the Madame characters, poorly written storylines, and the general lack of TV time. If WWE has one clear advantage over AEW, it is that it has already built a fan base, and it is huge disparity between its women's division and AEW's in the order. It really puts in the pressure on AEW. WWE should push its women's division even more strongly than it already does. Let's go to number 2. So number 2 should actually be number 2 is a lack of stars and power and overtime reliance on former WWE stars. What really preempted Impact Wrestling from over becoming a viable competitor to WWE is that roughly a decade ago it was developed a redemption place for WWE cast-offs. That was certainly true to an extent, as Impact was chock full of former WWE names ranging from Hulk Hogan to Jeff Hardy to Rob Van Dam, among slew of other stars, which while AEW currently doesn't have reached that point yet, but the company is drawing some comparisons that are very close to Impact of its reliance on WWE stars, including Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Jake Hager, Pac, Dustin Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, and others. Thought it would make sense for AEW to use former WWE stars with national TV exposure as it attempts to build up its audience, and it has been for the most part of a good job booking those stars. AEW needs to ensure that its fans find a healthy balance between having enough globally recognized names and relying too heavily on former WWE stars. It is and will continue to be a lengthy process for AEW to establish its homegrown talent and as a household name, but at least right now it is clear that AEW has a lack of mainstream star power beyond its former WWE stars, which is a problem that will be fixed over time. Right now, 3AW has the tough task of developing its top stars like Omega, the Young Bucks, the SCU, so they will become more recognizable in the general public. Arguably, the biggest advantage that WWE has over AEW at the and they have arguably the biggest advantage over WWE, and WWE has the biggest advantage over AEW. It has considerably more major stars, including part-timers like Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and Ronda Rousey, and full-timers like Lynch, Reigns, Bryan. In order for WWE to extend the gap between itself and AEW, it needs to make the most out of what is an obviously huge star power and advantage over the building AEW. On the flip side, AEW must create stars who can be the company's equivalent to the Cenas and the Lesnars of the world. So let's get into number 1, which is the over reliance on stables. If the lousy booking of the women's division isn't the shortcoming of AEW, then it is the abundance of lackluster stables. The Nightmare Collective, the Trio of the Blade, the Butcher, and the Bunny, the Dark Order. These 3 stables highlight some of the biggest problems that have plagued AEW, as all of these factions came across as something you would see on an indie show, not a national TV production. While AEW has some successes with the Elite and the Inner Circle, the cons associated with its over reliance of stables, many of which are most likely heavily outweighed with the pros of having so many groups. Most of are badly booked as far as exciting to watch. You've heard and you pressed for all and you can, and you remember the first episode of Dynamite that didn't feature some of the huge stars of wrestlers, which is proof positive of the reliance of these factions, of these more stars. WWE has scaled back on its use of stables in recent years. It has also a fair share of successes with the likes of the New Day, the Shield, and the Wyatt family, just to name a few. Um, the unofficial trios like Roman Reigns and the Usos, Dolph Ziggler, Baron Corbin, and Bobby Roode, and the more entertaining and less ridiculous than we've seen in AEW, where the Dark Order, the Nightmare, and the largely fallen flat with the trios becoming normal. WWE has all the tools in the world to make this all available and create and push the compelling factions and consistently execute what they're doing, so would give wrestling fans more of a reason to prefer WWE or AEW. At the very least, staying away from booking official stables altogether, unless there is a very good reason not to, would be a wise move for WWE at the time when AEW is just experimenting exactly why factions can be overdone at many times. So guys, thank you very much for watching my video. This has been a really good video so far, I think. So it's about the 5 big weaknesses of AEW that WWE must capitalize on. So guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Remember to like this video, leave a comment and subscribe for more. The Maximaniac. Share this video on all your social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And remember to stay cool. We want to hit by the end of the year 1,000 subscribers, and our like goal for this video was 10 likes. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to stay cool.